everyone, and welcome to Lethal Sales. Well, our long national nightmare is over, and I'm just talking about the election. Finally over, and maybe we won't be getting phone calls and texts and emails nonstop from now on, let's hope. But assuming that the economy is going to be different under soon to be President Trump for the second time, what would you like to see him do? What advice do you have for him? And if you were running the show, what would you do?
Peter, why don't you go first?
Sure.
That's a
Um,
mistake.
well, first of all, as you all know, I'm Canadian, so I really have no dog in this fight. And but I can tell you, whatever happens in the U.S. trickles down to the Canadian market. So I'm looking forward to good things coming. One of the things that was proposed by President Trump or President-elect Trump was no interest on car loans to bring in the business back to the industry without having to put the stupid incentives. It's that that taxation for to be able to write that off is a huge thing, and I think that's going to, if he can pass that through executive order or through legislation, I think that is going to be a real game changer for our industry, primarily kind of like the cash for clunkers that was brought out years ago, and I think that was 2008 when that came out, 2008 2009 area, which most people in the industry today weren't around when that happened. It's only the few select people on this panel that was around. But given the NADA stats, most salespeople were never even close to it. They weren't even salespeople prior to the pandemic. So I think this is a clean slate. I think he's going to come out with a number of different things, including he's going to cap interest rates on credit cards. He's going to cap interest on a number of loans because it's getting absolutely insane. I had some money transferred to me through Western Union, and I was at the Western Union, and I looked at the wall and it said payday loans. The the interest on a payday loan is 297% per annum on a payday loan.
Always has been.
And I'm going, when does it become to the point where people can't survive? And that's basically what's happened in the last 4 years. Now we look at what it's done to our industry. Our average price of a car, now this is due to a number of different factors, not just geopolitical, but with unions and everything else, has driven up the average price of a car to over $50,000. The the average payment on a car right now is up around, hovering around $770. When you look at it, a lot of people weren't paying mortgage prices that high. How can you actually afford to drive? So I'm welcoming anything he can do to change this industry for the better for us. And I think when you look at what he has proposed with Elon coming in as a basically the government auditor, and that could be an absolutely fantastic thing. It'll put a lot of government workers out of work because you don't need five people to look at an envelope to open it. So it's gonna change a lot, and I think it's gonna be the biggest transformation we'll see in history in the form of government. That's my opinion. Larry, what do you think?
I'm really excited too, because I think you
I
need
can
to
tell
look.
the level of excitement is just oozing out of you right now, Larry.
Well, I'm ready, baby.
Come on.
I've felt unbelievable stress the past couple of months,
Me
and
too. Yeah.
it really didn't have much to do with Democrat or Republic. It had to do that I just felt that she was incompetent. Listen, I thought Bill Clinton was a hell of a president. Forget about his sexual preferences, being a dog. He got together with Newt Gingrich, who he hated. They cleaned up welfare. They solved the deficit. I was a baby when John Kennedy was assassinated, but he seemed like an admirable guy. Truman's my favorite president, so I'm not necessarily skewed. But this candidate didn't make any sense. This was a candidate that had no policies, answered no questions. I think you all saw it right before the day before the election. They were having a proposal on in California to try to reverse this horrendous thing where you could shoplift up to 950, which destroys businesses and sets up crime. And they said, "Did you vote on that?" She says, "Well, I don't want to reveal any of my political stance before I vote, before an election," which is it's just nuts. So I think what we've needed is a business person. And while Trump can be a lunatic, anybody that denies that isn't paying attention and sometimes talks way too much and way too inappropriately, he thinks like a business person. How many times on this program and other programs have we talked about silos, about how fixed ops and variable needs to be tied in together, and when it's not, the attendant problems that come. That was Kamala Harris. She just jumped off a bridge. She bounced a couple times. Excuse the noise. But long story short, I like the fact that he knocked down regulation. That by lowering the taxes and pressuring companies with tariffs, he brought American companies back into the fore. I like the fact that he's going to seal up our border for financial reasons, for safety reasons. And let me just make a comment. One of the things that disturbs me, and I'm just being very honest here, is the nature of some of the people politically that feel differently than I do. Now, I'll give you a classic example of somebody I'm fine with. I believe that Jeff Shearer and I differ a little bit on our opinions as far as politics. But Jeff is such a sweet-tempered, moderate guy, and I'd like to believe I'm a sweet-tempered, moderate guy. I can never imagine an argument with Jeff. It would be, yeah, I guess I see your point. Hey, Larry, I see your point. We'd shake hands. We'd go get some dinner. But I went to, don't laugh at me, okay? I was so pumped up by not having an incompetent person and a Minnesota governor whose wife said she opened the windows so she could smell the buildings burning, which just blew my mind, that I went to the Trump store. Russell, I bought a refrigerator magnet. I bought an air freshener. I got to tell you, I never saw happier people in my life. They were giddy. But when you think, and I'm not talking about Jeff Shearer or other people of moderate temperament, the anger and to dare call somebody Hitler. I'm a Jew. Hitler killed 6 million of my relatives. So the fact that we're getting somebody in who he's a little nuts, no question, but thinks like a business person, will knock down regulation, will lure companies back in and punish the ones that aren't. I like, and I'll tell you what, he made a huge mistake the first time around, which is okay because everybody on this panel, including me, have made multiple mistakes in my life. Because he was naive politically, not business-wise,
Right.
he put a lot of people around him he should have never put around him. I don't know how you guys feel. The neighborhood I grew up in, you know what we hated the most? A rat. And he's surrounded by people that break every oath so they can write a book and do dirty.
Yep.
I hate guys like that. But my point is, how much better can you get than Vivek? I mean, is there a smarter business guy out there than him? More charming, more, could you imagine if Trump spoke like Vivek? Oh my God. Just you got Mr. Electric Car is going to be lowering over the budget. If there's ever a guy that knew how to make dollars make sense, I mean, here's a guy that's got a better space program than the United States government. So if he surrounds himself with the right people, I think we're going to see some revolutionary things. And by the way, you know how you can tell he's on the right track? He got Michael Watley and he got his daughter-in-law, Laura, to run this campaign. Because if they didn't run this campaign, he still might have lost. Because the ground game was better. They were ahead of every curve. So just speaking for myself, I was unbelievably thrilled last night. I was scared to death that this lady was going to get in by never stating a policy, by never making anything. And I honestly think we're we're in for a bunch of good years. Do we all agree that if this, by the way, my buddy Tom Richards joined. He's involved with one of my best friends, Hallie Garcia, and they're working on a program which just blow dealers' minds. Russell, think about your program tied in with variable. Tommy Russell's got one of the best programs you've ever seen in your life. But long story short, he's putting all these pieces of the puzzle together, and I think we're going to be great. Now, you're all consultants to one degree or another. Do we
Right.
all agree that if you go into a horrible store, it's easy to look like you're smart? Because when you see they're doing everything wrong, it doesn't take a genius to say, well, maybe everybody needs a TO, and I'm not going to. Okay.
Right.
Look where he's at. You can be the staunchest Democrat in the world, and I'm not speaking disrespectfully. How the hell did we let 10 million people in this country that are illegal without vetting them? How did we shut down our pipeline and let Russia? And let me say this to you, in case you haven't figured it out by the size of my nose or my last name being Feldman, I'm a Jew. And forget about what everybody else tells you. I ain't the smartest guy even on this damn panel, but there's no way that Iran attacks because Trump had his foot on their throat and had them broke. And the same thing. Oh, my man Paul Myers on. Hey, Paul, how are you? So I'm pretty excited about everything in every way. Paul, you okay? For anybody that knows, if you ever want to go for a meal, you got to go with Paul. Okay. He is happily married. Does everybody know why he's happily married? Because he never looks at the waitress, no matter how cute she is. All he does is look at the food and photograph it. It's a very slow, strange feel.
Smart
So
man.
I'm pretty excited. Paul's eating, but it's okay. We love Paul.
No, get
If
him
you
to
don't mind,
talk now. Get him to talk now.
Nah. Hey, let me tell you something. Okay, you want the closest way to my heart? It used to be being nice to my mother, but my mother's gone these 7 years. Paul travels all the way from Connecticut, takes his wife, takes his dog, and comes see my band play. Man, is that a good way to get on my good side? So nobody can mess with him. We've got a guy on here named Tommy Richards. Let me just give you the briefest of histories. Years and years ago, one of my first customers was a guy named Haley Garcia. And I love this guy. This guy came from Cuba with his family. There is nobody I've ever met that loves America more than this guy because he came from a society where if you spoke out, they locked your ass up. And we became such dear friends and got so close. It's a bromance. And as I said, it's a little bit of a tease tonight. He got involved with two Toms, Tommy and Thomas, Tom Murphy. And these guys, I think, have something, like I said, it's going to be as revolutionary with variable as Russell is with fixed. So without revealing too much, Tommy, I gave you a hell of a buildup. I hope that was worth the $25. Okay, because I don't trust that PayPal crap. What do you got to say, my buddy?
We're just excited to be working with you, Larry, and excited. And I don't know if you already mentioned this. We'll be.
Wait a minute. You didn't explain yourself. What you meant to say is you're excited to work with me because if you apply to the government, you get tax credits for working for someone with my particular ADA.
That's exactly right. That's
All right,
exactly.
just want to make sure we're defined. Rhonda, you'll handle the paperwork. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's perfect. No, we'll give everybody a closer look at this and really deep down inside. So I don't want to get too winded on this and really speak to what it is. But one of the things that I think in the car business we've identified is all dealerships want to work on their unit sales volume. They want to get it up. And today what we see is kind of a misguidance of where they're putting their focus and their capital and their money is spent in filling that top of that funnel, right? More and more leads. And those leads at the end of the day are costing them more and more money. It's a fixed amount. And just the feeding frenzy in the car industry today, trying to get those leads, means there's a law of diminishing returns on those leads. It's costing dealers more and more to get them. And the reality is, as they focus on that, their largest opportunity eludes them. Their largest opportunity is with the leads they've already paid top dollar for. right? That are sitting there. How do we close more of those, right? And as we started to really kind of dive in and look at it, we found that converting just a lead to a sale, really, there was two parts. Let's get them on a car. We all get that, right? Let's get them to agree on a car. But the bigger part and where we reside, where Hallie and I are working with a product called Pivot, is once they're on a car, the desking process, the negotiation, right? The big part. And when I started to dive into it and ask dealers about, what was happening in that desking process, well, what are you losing versus what are you winning? I came to find out pretty quickly, and it made me sick to my stomach. There was very little knowledge on behalf of the dealer in that category. Most of them would take a shot in the dark and they'd guess, we're closing probably 1 in 3 deals that we desk and we negotiate on. 1 in 3. I gotta tell you, I kind of threw up in my mouth for a second. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. 1 in 3.
Would you avoid throwing up? Paul still eating. We don't like to be rude to our guests that are dining.
And so you start to look at that and go, okay, well, tell me about why you're losing the deals. And it got even scarier. They couldn't speak to it. They had no idea on average how far they were off from making a deal with a client on average. Creepy, creepy. So Pivot really, it focuses in on that. And without saying too much, we've conditioned our desk managers to focus so much on front end gross. But at the end of the day, every dealer will tell you there's a hell of a lot more than front end gross that makes a successful dealership. There's all that, what we call dependent income anchored to every deal, right? What you're making in service, what you're making in F&I. You got packs. You got, if on the new car side, you got stuff like, volume incentives from Hyundai and ordering priority, things like that there's a huge value proposition to. That's why when the dealer gets involved in a deal, is it ever lost?
No, because he's got his own self-interest at heart.
Damn straight. Because he's got a broader dealership perspective. He's looking at everything. And so what Pivot does, guys, in a nutshell, is it allows that dealer to be involved only at the moment that the desk considers a deal dead or lost. When they get to a point where the desk trying to hold on to front end gross can't go any lower, Pivot steps in and creates basically a virtual dealer at that moment based on all his objectives, plans, tendencies to give up some of that profit that exists across the dealership to make that deal and to make it happen. And
the way Tommy explained this to me was everybody with a brain in their head does what's called a save a deal meeting.
Yeah.
But they have it when the people already left the damn building. So what the program they came up with institutes a save a deal while the damn deal is going on.
Right.
So it's
without the dealers need to be physically present, right? So this can happen in any moment when a deal is considered dead by the desk. We can't get it done. And when we put this in play, either in pilots or in active stores that are using it today, here's what we found. They went from closing 1 in 3 negotiated or desk deals to closing 2 out of 3 negotiated desk deals. We flipped the script and almost doubled their volume of sales. And how long did it take, Hallie? 2 weeks?
Yeah.
2 weeks, guys.
2 weeks.
And it's truly incredible. And so, having played a part of a lot of companies that have just changed the industry, I was with V Auto from the early days. I can tell you this is another one of those. This is another way that challenges the status quo of how we've been anchored in tradition and looked at things probably the wrong way. We have an opportunity to teach dealers a different way to do that and give them control over the one part of their business that they've always wanted control over but never have, and that's variable operations. And we can give them that, and that's what Pivot's designed to do. So that's why
everybody knows Tommy. It's Tommy. Tom, the other partner, Tom Murphy's going to join us. It was his anniversary, and he didn't want to wind up sleeping on the couch. That would be the ultimate pivot. So he'll be joining us.
Right. Dude, learn to pivot.
So you understand. You got some of not only the sharpest guys in the industry, but the nicest. Mike Larkin is technical enough where Elon Musk calls him for advice. Paul Meyer is both sales and service training. He flies all over the country. Wherever the hell he goes, he makes a friend. Russell Hill is a fixed ops wizard. If that wasn't enough, he's tied in with guys like Michael Barrich and David Sparks. Rhonda is my marketer. If she can make me sound sane, you know what a genius she is. Jeff Shearer, unbelievably bright guy. I was lucky enough to trip over him, and we lean on each other for about 2 million things a week. I already told you about my relationship with Peter Smith, and Jason Reed runs a Mercedes dealer, and man, he's become a fixture on this damn program. So you guys are welcome anytime. We're looking forward to see Tom Murphy on here, and we appreciate you being with us. And if there's anything, if you want to hang around, if you want to comment on anything, you're absolutely more than welcome. We try to keep the show as a format and keep it moving along.
I think I'm going to hang out for a little bit. Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate the invite.
So we know.
Appreciate it.
So we now wait a minute. So that means not only are you brilliant, but you're very lonely. How about if we all chip in and get him Netflix or something like that? Can you imagine, Peter? He wants to hang around with us. Very sad. Jeff Shearer. Jeff Shearer is working on an AI thing that's absolutely dazzling. He had me deal with his AI model today, which was interesting. I don't know if you heard the report, Peter, but Jeff's AI person went back to their computer format and said, "I didn't sound human enough." We got to work on that, Jeff. See if we can tweak.
You know what? I listened to you guys. I listened to the last one of these you did about the AI earlier today. And your comments, Jeff, I picked up on all of that. I listened to it intently. And I got to tell you, the stuff that came out in that meeting was spot on. I'm like, there's things about it. It's just you got to consider. I think it's a good thing, but it can also be overused and detrimental, to customer service.
When I was at Harvard, I used to cheat off of Jeff's paper. Russell was somewhat indisposed, and Peter was busy getting his teeth knocked out playing hockey. It's a very sad bunch of guys you decided to tie in with. Yeah. Since we're talking about Mr. Shearer, what's going on in your wonderful world?
So I think, just talking about the future, AI needs to be on that train, because I think that's going to have as much of an impact on the economy, I think, in the next couple of years, and everybody gets smarter with it every day. Mr. Larkin and I are just, we're glued to our screens every day. And, I say it very, very frequently. I want to learn one new thing today that I didn't know this morning, and I've done that. And what I shared with Larry, and I'll be able to share soon, and Peter, I sent you a link too, but the, an interactive AI bot, number one, yeah, they've been around a while, but they haven't been good, and the experience hasn't. And the other part of it, which really got me going on it, and I've been working with one of my clients for a couple of months, is on a practice training for agents to call in and do a role play, and throw some curveballs. One of the things I asked my AI bot was, well, what kind of coffee do you serve in your waiting room? And she's acting like she works at a car dealership.
Hey, hold on. Let me interrupt for a second. I hate the AI voices. Tom, I don't know if you know it, Tommy. I'm a musician. That's my primary focus in life. I squeeze everything else in around it. And you can't watch YouTube anymore because they'll show you a vignette of the Stones, the Beatles, and you hear the world's crappiest AI voice, monotone. I spoke to Jeff's because he asked me to. It sounded like you were talking to a human. There was no pause. There were inflections. The voice kind of rose and dropped. So this is some pretty serious good stuff. I'm sorry, I just wanted to let them know because they didn't have the benefit that I did of interacting with Alice.
Well, and you want to give people something they're comfortable with, right? Nobody wants to talk to the robot from Lost in Space, in one monotone and do that. And everybody's.
Wait a minute. You just revealed this is an old guy show because every damn person on here thought to themselves, "Danger, Will Robinson." Boy, we got to get some younger folks on here.
I was just saying,
too old, Russell.
In Rhonda, I knew everybody on this would get the analogy. Although I can't see Jason tonight, so he might be younger than us. But it's just that. How do we make something? I want to build stuff that's livable, human-like, but not to replace humans, and in the auto industry, there's kind of two leaders in the call it digital assistant, if you want, that they try to put in place for people to make oil change appointments at midnight. Man, have at it. For the 5% of your customers that might want to do that, great. Yeah, we can do that too, but I'm more interested in striking while the iron's hot, which is usually during business hours, right? And want to make sure that there aren't any cracks in the armor during business hours. So we use technology, to do that. But I think, AI is going to be impactful, as I said earlier, on the economy, just because it touches everything we do. And
Hey, hold on. Hey, Jeff, hold on for 1 second because it looks like Paul Myers in between mouthfuls. Paul's the only guy on this damn show because I got such a big business where I sit in my living room and place ads for that travels more than me. Paul, what are you seeing as far as AI needs or people engaging already in AI? Because every time I turn around, you're somewhere else. It's the mute button, Paul.
Yeah, I'm on. I'm on
I gave you
mobile.
that big buildup, and you couldn't hit the volume button. I don't know what I'm going to do with you, Myers.
I'm on mobile in a restaurant, so I have to keep it kind of low.
a
Um,
restaurant, that's new, right?
So there's still a lot of dealers that haven't really delved into it to use ChatGPT talk, but nobody uses the word delve other than ChatGPT or somebody that's thrilled. Nobody uses thrilled either. But to cut to the chase here, when I introduced the concept of using AI in their process, a lot of them are literally blown away by it. Okay, I use it in communicating with internet leads. I had one dealer that wasn't using it who told me we're now using it across all three departments, and he says it's amazing because it saved us so much time, and the responses that we're getting are better. There's greater engagement because now I showed him how to create prompts. So it's not just some generic bullshit that goes out. It actually addresses what the lead is looking for, specifically to what's important to the customer. And then I pair that with good old school video. Hey, it's Paul over at XYZ Motors. I just want to show you a quick 30-second preview of your new car. So when you tie that to the AI, I mean, it's unbelievable. The engagement from the customers goes way up, and the store visits goes way up. So I'm a big fan and believer of it.
And I think
I believe it.
that
And Jeff, back to you. You did make one comment about worrying about the human beings being replaced by AI. That'll never happen because you'll never find AI to be as lazy and unreliable as people. They're just skills that AI can't match up to.
it's fact. But I think, dealers, and I think we probably said this a year ago. I don't know what AI is, but I know I need it. Right?
Well, they all have FOMO. They're all fear of missing out. What is the other guy doing that I'm not? What am I missing? That again, in a couple of weeks, we'll hear from Tom, Tommy, and Hallie because that's what they're on. They're on. It's the old thing. How many? 1 second, Paul. How many times do we hear people don't have enough business and they're not attacking service, and they're not attacking their orphan leads? It's insane. Go ahead, Paul. He's in a quiet restaurant, so go ahead.
Right. The other thing that I find is that there are those people that are exposed to it, but they're not exposed to it the right way. So, for instance, a guy told me today, I'm not too keen on this AI stuff. I said, what do you mean? So, well, it's because it took this many words and emojis and all kinds of other bullshit to basically say 2 sentences worth of content. So he says, I don't really feel there's any value in it. So, well, I'm glad you mentioned that because clearly you have not exposed yourself to how to create prompts. So I told them go to YouTube University, look up how to create the best prompts, and then go back to it. I showed him some of the prompts that I have set up on my phone. It's like, wow, I didn't know I could do all that. So it's important to to never make assumptions that they do or don't know anything. Walk them through it to find out what they know, find out what their experience has been, and then that way you can offer suggestions that are more relevant to those specific people.
Paul, did this guy hit his head on the door frame and get stupid? Who in their right mind would be mad about being less wordy? I mean, every one of us is constantly attacked by people, and all we want to know is what he's selling, what it's going to cost me, and what's it going to do for me.
Well,
Less is more.
And there's a phrase, Larry, that I think is attributed to Ben Franklin, right or wrong, but it may have been Abraham Lincoln, but it's basically, if I had more time, I would have made this letter shorter. So it's very difficult, to encapsulate stuff. And, Mike.
The way I heard that was a ball player who they interviewed when he was retired, and he said, I spent 90% of my money on women and having a good time, and the other 10% I wasted. It was one of those, the reverse of moderation in all things,
But we talk about, Mike Larkin and I have talked ad nauseum about elevator pitch, right? How do we encapsulate what we do in 60 seconds? And it's hard. And Peter helped me a lot with it. And it's difficult because AI can do everything. But specifically, what do you do? Well, we use it to assess phone calls and see around corners and help dealers fill the cracks in their bucket.
Hey, Fred Thorne joined us. Fred, how are you tonight, my buddy? Everything well?
Doing good. Here, I forgot all about it. I was watching old Johnny Carson flip. Anyway, sorry about that.
No
and
problem.
Wendy says,
but I'm sorry, Fred.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, if we're talking, wait a minute, is this the menu? Is this dessert? Do we all agree that if we got frustrated with dealers and we did wind up killing somebody and we did get the death penalty, that the last meal would have to be catered by Paul Meyer? Am I right? Paul wouldn't mess around. If you would delay your execution 4 days, there'd be scallops, there'd be 9 kinds of sauces. You know what? I'd order a pizza in 2 seconds. I'd be electrocuted. Russell, tell us a little bit for any you guys, the new guys. Russell is got the best fixed ops program you've ever seen. It cuts all the nonsense out, and on top of that, he's a sweetheart, and he's a John Lennon fan. And even though we know Paul's more talented, me and him like Lennon better. Russell, what do you have to say about this and about that? If you do kill somebody, you want Paul Meyer to cater your meal.
Yeah,
Between
no,
that,
it would definitely be Paul. I don't follow his escapades on the food, but my wife does. So yeah, she's a fan. Great stuff.
No, wait a minute. So you're telling us your wife follows Paul to see what he's eating, and Hallie and I, when we get on a computer, we look at stuff that is banned in 11 countries. I'm sorry, Hallie, I had a complaint. Yeah. Tommy's here. You told me to be straight up and down.
My wife is online. She's an online lady. That's what she is.
I love it.
Yeah.
So what are you saying?
I'm sitting here thinking, it's hat time or something. We all need to get our hats out and show our true colors. You know what I mean? No.
Well, you know what? I think what I can't stand, and I'm not kidding now, I'm a Socratic philosophy Plato guy. And even though everybody knows I'm crazy Larry, I believe in moderation in all things. And whether you're disgusted that Kamala lost or you're thrilled that Trump won, the main thing is to be civil with people and to have a little bit of moderation. Because I don't care what it is, when people are too extreme in any direction, it scares the hell out of me. So I've
learned over the years that sometimes I cringe when he says stuff, but now I don't. It's not what he says; it's what he does.
We're about policy.
That's right.
Hey, listen, everybody on this panel has worked with somebody that they didn't get along with or they thought was out of their mind. But if the working relationship was healthy and you made money, that's it. Everybody in this panel, I think, would agree with me that a manager that's your best buddy and helps you go broke is no good. And a guy that kicks you in your ass, you may resent him, but at least you can feed your family. So what are you seeing, Russell? I mean, all your programs make sense. What are you seeing as far as using more AI, integrating more AI? What's your feelings here with that?
Well, it's just like uh, Osmond Smornin, and he was on the APA last week, and just the struggles of breaking into the American market, even if you're in the American market trying to break into it, it's challenging. And I'm going to steal this from Tony T, who probably stole it from somebody else. Is the ADD, another damn dashboard, another thing for somebody to look at. Listen, AI to accelerate momentum is phenomenal. AI to create something that they don't have a process as a place for is a disaster waiting to happen. And either one of them, if you think that you don't have to do anything, you're wrong on both accounts because there's a human side to it. And people need to be involved. Unfortunately, it's sad to say, I know people preface this all the time. It's not about taking jobs. Oh, it's taking a lot of jobs, and it's going to redefine a lot of jobs. But unfortunately, yeah, people are going to lose their jobs. And this is the biggest transference of wealth and the fastest, what's this guy's name? I'll think of it here in just a second. But regardless of his name, we're going to move 100 years in the next 5 years. That's 20 years for every year.
Well, they say technology, if
yeah.
you look at the world scale of technology, everything happened in the last 3 seconds of a timeline of millions of years.
Dude,
yeah. And as far as people losing their jobs, we don't want to quote Socrates. We don't want to quote Tony Robbins. We want to quote Jerry Butler, a singer from Philadelphia who had a song called "Only the Strong Survive."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, people that want to make a living and have to feed their family will figure out a way to feed their family.
That's right, Mr. Meyer.
Is Paul trying to speak?
No, he's going to eat his finger. He's eating so much
escargot.
He's turned into a cannibal. You guys tuned in on the right night.
That whole BS about losing jobs, it's created so many more jobs.
Exactly.
There are jobs that exist today that never existed before.
That's right.
There's all kinds of opportunities. I don't care what the scenario is. There are places that I go into. These nutcases pay me to show up and eat and live stream that shit over the internet. That's insane. I never knew such a job existed.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? It does. Now, prompt engineers, right? People that teach others how to create prompts, or that get paid to create prompts for people that don't want to spend a little bit of time to figure out how this shit works. I mean, there's entirely new jobs that never existed before.
It's
Well, you're right.
limitless.
Look at how these influencers are getting rich. They know they're idiots. They know what they're doing makes no sense, but people pay them millions of dollars.
So
Okay.
you know what I did yesterday? Oh, go ahead, Jason.
Did Paul just say he was getting paid for this call?
Pretty much.
He's
Pretty much.
double dipping. I'm okay with that. Hey,
Not
Jason,
this specific call.
took me years to realize dealers don't pay me to come; they pay me to leave.
Yeah. People.
So guys,
go ahead.
Hey, Russell,
Hey,
I'm sorry, because Russell, you're onto something right here, right now. But I just want to share what I did yesterday. This great new Ford dealer that I'm in like about a month now. He gave me carte blanche. He said, just sell me some cars, right? They acquired the store. They've got 100 leads a month. They only sold 25 cars last month. Anyway, short version, we did a Facebook ad that's turned into fire right away, but he's also going to do a radio ad. So he's got everybody, all the connectors, who's going to place the media, who's going to do this, who's going to film it, etc. He needed a radio script. So guess what? ChatGPT Pro and I created a radio script, and he loved it. And I said, and then I even did the setup of the commercial on my ChatGPT Pro. And I think did I use Dolly too? I'm not sure. But whatever I used, whatever tools I used. So if I wanted to, I could. But me, it's just going to be an added benefit to my dealers that trust me and that I'm going to help them drive traffic with whatever means. And it was a clean, crisp. It had his exact talking points, but I even gave him the time limit, 30 seconds. And he's like, I love it. I go, cool. I go, compliments of ChatGPT Pro. Anytime you need one, either holler at me, or if you want to learn how to do it, I'll show you. Boom, more value. That's what we're here for.
Mm.
We're here to help our dealers move metal, and we're here to help it be relationship and all that. And AI is helping us. One other thing, and I'm so sorry, Russell, please
No,
forgive me,
no,
but
no,
I'm on
no,
a roll
no.
and I got my BDC hat on, literally and figuratively. So the other thing is, what's the with me using offshore agents? Now my agents are, that's why they call them angels, because they're trained and they've got the right mindset and everything else, right? Why are you cutting me off, dude? I know he was talking to his waitress. Anyway,
No,
what I
are they
did
dead?
was,
Is that why you call them angels?
haha, no, they're earth angels. So what is the hole? I think AI plugs holes. I think that whether they're illiterate or lazy US agents, appointment setters, or they hail someone else's country flag, written communication sucks in BDCs, and especially when we're mining the database and we're trying to generate and reactivate leads that for inactive customers. Our written communication sucks, you guys. It's completely irrelevant. There's no consistent messaging. It's not relevant to their history of anything. So now I'm going to say it right here, and Peter's gonna yell at me, but I mean, I don't know if you've seen it or whatever. I'm
Peter,
backing
don't
BDC
yell at her.
Box, because what it does is they trained it not only on OpenAI to get the general BDC stuff and customer behavior and this and that and the other, but it's going to go in their CRM. Peter, we're not going to roast BDC Box tonight, okay? But anyway, what I like for my dealers that have 6,000 leads a month and have 20 agents and they're still not consistently sending out good written communication is it mines the database, it serves it up for them, the AI engages, the AI can even set appointments, and if they need a handoff to human, guess what? They're right there. And then they do what they do best. They have a phone conversation with them and they close what the AI couldn't close. And you have another opportunity to help another loyal customer and to satisfy the why buy from us, because we're relevant, we're consistent, and we're timely.
Love it. Hey, Mike Larkin, what do you think, my buddy? We haven't gotten to you or my friend Jason Reed yet.
Yeah. As far as the election, every time they bring up, and Trump did a great job at hey, let's hold back on the rhetoric. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And he asked that question pointedly and shut up. He didn't say it's your fault. It's
Shutting
your
up
fault.
is not his strong suit.
Right. So, but another quote he used is, "It's the economy, stupid," and that was quoted from Bill
James
Clinton.
Carville.
Clinton, yeah.
Well, James, and he was representing
Keep it,
Bill
yeah, right.
at
It's
the
the
time.
economy, stupid. Exactly. Right.
So I was looking at it going, okay, is Trump the only one that had 4 years and then took 4 years off and is doing another 4 years? It's been, and I looked it up and I didn't chat GPT it, but Grover Cleveland in 1892 was one of those presidents who is exactly on the same road as Trump. And my question is, after these next 4 years, can Trump run again?
No,
legally.
after Roosevelt, who had 4 consecutive terms, he died in the first year of the last one when Truman became president. They changed it. They made an amendment that you can only do 2 terms.
29th Amendment.
Thank you. Yeah, because I was bothered by that, saying, hey, wait a minute, during the war, Roosevelt did 2 terms and went into a third. What is going on here? So
Mike,
thank you for
Mike, I suggest you also cheat off of Jeff Shearer's paper, okay? Obviously, you were a little asleep in the history class, but it's okay. We still love you. Nice
yeah,
hat,
knowing
by the way.
him, as soon as I said it, he bolts out of the room.
Yeah.
Jason Reed, what do you have to say? And by the way, I gotta say, I've never seen you look more handsome than you do tonight, my friend.
Thank you. AI is here. AI is going to stay. AI is about adapting yourself to use it, to learn from it, grow with it, and utilize it to better yourself, your store, your interactions with your consumers. As it becomes more advanced, you have AI now making stock trades and algorithms with the stock market that are buying and selling and doing all these great things and making people money. As Tony T said earlier, like Russell said, just another deck, another thing to log into. You know, I beg for the day that I don't have to have 20 damn windows open on my screen to log into my CRM, log into my manufacturer website, log into my credit, log into this, log into that. It is mind-numbingly just, I hate it. At the end of the day, I've used AI. I use AI quite a bit. I have several bots that I use within an AI system that I have purchased, and they are fantastic. And they are going to help me. They teach you. You can ask it questions. You can interact with it. All these different things. And I even have a video service that I use where it takes basically a video of me that I took for 2 or 3 minutes, and it turns it into an avatar that is video likeness, just like me with my voice saying a script. So I can use that to video to customers if I want to on any given day. I can use it to talk about a specific car, and I can just have that ready to go and type in the script I want to use and roll with it, right? If you're not utilizing AI now, you're done. I mean, I hate to put it that bluntly. I mean, you are behind by a long, long way. We've all got to get up to speed with it, and if your teams aren't up to speed with it, they need to be up to speed with it. They need to be using it for their emails. They need to be using it for researching on cars. If they don't know of a particular brand or model, ChatGPT can actually tell them about the car that they're trying to interact with the customer with, so they can talk intelligently about it to the consumer. The first time you say something non-truthful, non-factual, or you just sound like a jackass, you are done for with that customer. You've lost all the faith. You're not going to do anything. But having factual content given by an AI software is something that people are not utilizing. They don't use it to formulate their emails to their consumers. They don't utilize it to formulate templates for their CRM system. And all these things are better than what is currently in the CRM system now, or what you're probably saying to your clients. 100 over 100. But we've got to embrace it. Or, yeah, you will be out of a job, because the one that comes behind you that gets it, when they're going to be in your place. Sorry.
No, it's right, Jason, and think about how crazy it is how we resist technology at every point. I've never met. I don't travel as much as Paul, but I travel a lot, and I've never met a general manager that isn't frustrated because his people aren't putting the information in the CRM properly, either timely or at all. When all it does is make it easier, more beneficial, and makes the whole process work better.
Absolutely. I mean, there's even AI bots that you can utilize on a meeting like this that can take notes, and they can summarize the entire video call that we're on and put it into a PDF document for you to review the key points of what we've talked about tonight. Wouldn't that be great to go back to and look at it later on and say, oh, wow, Russell made a great point. Wendy made an awesome point. Tom, wow, that was freaking awesome what he said earlier. I don't remember it. Now I can go back and read it, versus actually trying to go back and rewatch the video and find it again. These things are going to be in everybody's world. They already are. You just don't know it yet.
Peter, this AI translation would be Paul Meyer ate an 11-course meal and Jason Reed turned into a panda. Might be an interesting report to read.
He ate a panda?
I thought pandas were on the endangered list.
I just like cool Santa Claus up there. You know, my kids saw Fred on the screen, and I was like, "You guys gotta be quiet. Santa Claus is on my phone call tonight, and he's making his list." They got real quiet.
Haley and Tom, Fred and Wendy are the world's cutest couple. Okay, and
Paul wants to say something.
Oh, is that it, or were you just waving down a waitress? No, he's got something to say.
It has so many applications. Take, for instance, EVs, right? Most of the salespeople have no idea about charging, about so many things. You can just do a simple search. I want to learn about EV charging. Can you explain it to me like I'm a fifth grader? And this thing will spit out an exact answer for you in every single detail as to what it's about. You can even
Wait,
use
wait a
it
minute,
for
Paul. Tell him the flip of this. When you did a little mystery shopping and you called a dealer and you got a salesman and you were asking him about how frequently do you have to change the oil on your EV. Remember that?
It's crazy what you see. Can I get some more coffee? Thank you. It's crazy, but you can develop curriculum. Okay, you can develop training material. If you have certain things that you want the salespeople to learn, you can create a course utilizing AI. And then to take it one step further, you can create a proficiency exam to make sure that the people understand all of the concepts that you want them to learn. It's just really, literally unlimited what you can do with it.
Certification programs, all that kind of stuff is on its way, and it's here. I heard Gary V. Everybody knows about Gary V. And he said, hey, in 7 years, Google will be obsolete. Everybody will be doing their searches through AI. And it's already starting. If you're Googling stuff, there's an AI section right at the top. So what he said was, in the meanwhile, there's 8.5 billion searches on Google a day. Okay, so that means that more than the population on planet Earth are being searched on Google per day. That's a lot of traffic. So long as you can hone in on that traffic and point it in a direction, you're going to be better off. They make more revenue each day than Meta and TikTok combined. So yeah, the wave is still big on Google, but the tide is turning, but it's not going to turn for another, 3 to 5 years.
Well, I'm getting my piece of it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, buddy.
I mean, microprocessors that process 100, not 1,000, not 100, not 100,000 times faster than the human brain. I can't even fathom that speed.
8.5 billion?
Mm.
Woo!
Look, I'll take $1 billion. That's all.
You don't get greedy.
Look, $17 trillion is going to change hands in the next 7 years because of this AI.
Now, wait a second here. I saw this movie back in the 80s, and if it's Cyberdyne systems, we're all in trouble. Right?
Skynet?
They're gonna wipe us out. Skynet's gonna go intelligent on us.
I'm looking for Sarah Connor.
He'll be back.
Hey, it's 7:59. It was so good, Paul. It was great to see you as always, my buddy. Tom and Haley, so glad you guys could join us.
Yeah, glad you guys came on. Come back.
Rhonda is waving her finger at me, and I don't think she's ordering coffee. Yes, ma'am.
You're on mute.
Still on mute.
The button at the bottom, Rhonda.
Okay.
You're muted, Rhonda.
I just wanted to tell everybody to give you a heads up that next week's Lethal Sales is about the books you're reading or the books you love or what you can recommend.
Oh, I love it. Let's do it right now.
Okay, we'll
No,
just
I can't.
put it on for another hour. But that's our topic next week, and so you can read up or think up on the books that you like, and we'd love for you to share them. You always
Hey, Tommy,
have
you didn't know there'd be homework, did you, Tommy?
exactly.
See what Harry suckered you into?
What? I have to know how to read to be in this group?
Yeah.
You can use AI to do your reading for you.
There you
Here we
go.
go.
I'll have my wife read it to me.
Yeah, right. That's even better.
Guys, ladies, thank you
And
all
one
so
thing-
much. As always,
one
it was
second,
a
Larry.
pleasure to see you.
Larry,
And
one second.
yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Peter.
1 second. Tomorrow night on the Automotive Innovators and Disruptors Room, we are going to be talking about business intelligence. Does it exist in the dealership?
Yeah.
And the guests will be John Ellis, Dan Trinidad, and Zach McVicker.
There we
And
go.
Right on.
Three
it's
heavy
gonna be-
hitters.
They're going to be. It's going to be an incredible. How would you say? Expose of where we're actually looking for the right data in a dealership.
Right on.
And it's going to be Tom, Eric, please join us.
I'll be there.
It's going to be an amazing night, and we're going to expose a lot of things that people are necessarily aware from your human capital to all your sales capital as well. Both.
Cool.
So
thank you, Peter. Thank you, Larry, Rhonda, and everybody for showing up for me tonight. I'm going to bed.
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to end this session. Good night, everybody. Have a great week.
Nice to
Everybody
meet
stay
you.
Thank you,
healthy.
everyone.
Thank you.
Great show.